Well, as always, a shout out to our sponsor of the podcast, Home Street Bank. If you're looking for a bank that is going to give you everything you need, great people, tremendous service, really great rates, this is where you want to go. This is my lender. This is my lender of choice. I think it should be yours as well. Go to homestreetbank.com for all your banking needs, both business and personal. That's homestreetbank.com. Standing out is no longer an option. Differentiate or die. We'll show you how on today's episode of The Buyer's Mind.
Welcome to The Buyer's Mind, where we take a closer look deep inside your customer's decision-making mechanism to reverse engineer the perfect sales presentation. Now, please welcome your host, Jeff Shore.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Buyer's Mind. I'm your host, Jeff Shore, of this podcast where we talk about the way that your customer makes purchase decisions. And you want to know that. You want to know how your customer thinks, because if you understand the way they make purchase decisions, you can then reverse engineer your sales presentation, because at the end of the day, the goal is to make it easy for a buyer to buy. And today, we're going to talk about how to stand out, and how to differentiate by doing things that other people are not doing. And one of those things is video. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. We're going to talk about the how with an expert on the subject, but let's start with another expert. Let's talk to Paul Murphy, our show producer. Murph, we're going to talk about a really cool opportunity, how to use video. This is right up your alley, yes?
It is. I've been doing this for over 26 years.
How did you first get interested in video? Because 26 years ago, that was really the very early stages of the video revolution that we're seeing. How did you first get started in video, and when did you realize the impact of video?
Well, I love visuals, so I love photography, and I got into it because there used to be high school rallies where a group called Camfell would come in with their 3-projector multimedia slideshow, and just the bombardment of visuals and music and everything telling a story really grabbed my attention, and I thought, I want to have impact like that.
Love it. I love it. And then it evolved over time where, early on when you were doing video, it was really something that was only for the experts to do, right? You were doing a lot of splicing and you had to have duplicating machines. It was not something that was easy for just anybody to do.
Yeah, I mean, video was incredibly expensive when you think about it 26 years ago, just even in standard definition television. And then with the advent of HD, things got more expensive. But it's amazing how much the prices have come down so that pretty much anybody with a cell phone can shoot 4K video if they want.
Right. And very powerful, impactful 4K video at that. And it speaks to the question for all of you as sales professionals, how are you standing out? Because if you don't stand out, you are going to get commoditized. You are going to look like every other salesperson out there. And so it's one thing to make sure that your product is standing out, but the question is, how do you stand out? And if you look at it and say, well, I'm really nice, I got to warn you right now, there are a lot of really nice salespeople out there. Oh, well, I have a really good email. I'm sorry, but email is just so overused out there. What are you doing? And I think video really could be that secret weapon. The use of video as a sales technique should not be cutting edge, but it absolutely is. So why are you not using it? Well, in my experience, it falls really under a few different categories. One, just a fear of the technology. And we have good news for you. We're going to talk to somebody today who's going to show you just how easy this can be. The fear of technology really should not be in the way. It should not be something that we are having to deal with. The second is the issue of stage fright, right? When people think about video, they think about being afraid of what they look like on video, afraid of looking stupid, whatever it is. And here's the good news. You can use video as part of your sales process without actually being on camera. Although I think it's more powerful if you are on camera, but you don't have to be on camera. It's just the sound of your voice. And if you're worried about the sound of your voice, well, two things. One, that's the sound of your voice. It just is. It doesn't change when it's on video or narrating a video. But the other thing is, when we think about our voice, if you don't like it, if you hate what you're recording, No problem. Stop, re-record it. It's like leaving the outgoing message on your voicemail. You probably didn't get that right the first time. Don't worry about it. Record it again. But I think the biggest issue here is that a lot of salespeople deal with comfort addictions. We just have this natural desire to want to be comfortable. And when we step into uncomfortable areas, it really, really does get difficult on us. And I just want to encourage you to lean into that discomfort. And this is one of the ways to do it. It's not radically uncomfortable to use video. It just takes a little getting used to. But once you get used to it, I'm going to tell you right now, it is an absolute game changer. So let's listen to what our guest today has to say about this, and then I'm going to encourage you. Be uncomfortable. Lean into that. Just embrace that obstacle and see if you can't make a profound difference, not for you, but for your customer on the other side of your discomfort. Well, we're going to talk now about what I believe to be a very powerful and incredibly underutilized technology. It is a difference maker. And I am, quite frankly, stunned that more salespeople aren't taking advantage of it. Now, I want to make it clear. This is about to sound like a commercial. I assure you it is not. While I admit that I'm a user of the technology we're going to be talking about, I want to be clear that I'm receiving no incentive, no fee, nothing like this. Having this guest on was 100% my call because I believe it will help you, our listeners. And with that, I'm thrilled to have Steve Pacinelli. He's the Chief Marketing Officer for the video email company BombBomb. His career efforts have been focused on marketing technology. We are thrilled to have him on The Buyer's Mind. Steve, welcome.
I am thrilled to be on. Thank
Cool.
you so much, Jeff.
Cool. Let's have some fun. Before we talk about the platform, tell us a little bit about your background and your interest in marketing technology.
Yeah, so I right out of college, I jumped into real estate technology and sold CRM products, and moved up through the ranks from salesperson to sales manager, and through that process, I realized I had a passion for training on technology, and not just talking about CRMs, but training on technology tools and strategies, for real estate agents, of course, initially. Because it was in the real estate space. But I turned the sales strategies and techniques into more of an edu sales, in the early 2000s. And that's where my passion really, really came from, is that training and education. And then how can you tie your product into that training and sell it at the same time you're helping your audience? And so that propelled me through to national trainer and vice president of events for Realtor.com and Move, where I did a 48 city tour teaching real estate agents how to use technology in their business. And it was all day class. And I love doing that. And then in 2012, I was trying to solve a problem for my sales team, when we did the tour, and I was trying to up my conversion percentage. And in doing so, I stumbled upon BombBomb. And I'm like, wait a second, what's this video email all about? Maybe it could help my team and help following up with our prospects and connecting with people more effectively. And it did. Short story is, it did. It crushed it. Our conversion percentages went way up. We were closing internet leads by getting face-to-face through video. And I was a huge fan, a convert, an advocate. And 3 years later, I became BombBomb's CMO. I liked it so much. So that's my history in a nutshell. I love storytelling, and I measure my success by helping other people reach their potential.
Before we talk about the technology and how it works, one of the big issues that we have to deal with is simply how we stand out, right? There's always this concern about being commoditized. I think every company and every salesperson at every company runs that risk, where a customer could look at it and say, throw them all in a room and they'd all blend in and you'd never know who's who, and I can buy from here or there and it doesn't matter, so who has the best price? I assume you just conceptually, I assume you share that concern about commoditization.
Yeah, 100%. When you hire your sales team, you sit with them, you interview, you evaluate personality, and that's how you hire the person that's in front of you and that's on your sales team. And then the problem with that is they communicate digitally. 20, 25 years ago, people decided our most important communication was going to be relegated to text-based email and text messaging, which removes the messenger from the message. All the things that you use to make a decision about the person sitting in front of you are all now negated because they turned into text on the screen. And so that's what video brings back into the equation. You are your best sales asset, your personality, the way you connect with people, your human self. And if you can get in front of more people more often, you do more business.
But here's the thing, though. When you, first of all, you're preaching to the choir, and this is why I totally agree. The idea that text-based messaging, whether it's email, text message, it removes the messenger from the message. That's a great way to put it. That will be a Jeff Shore original by next Thursday. But as I think through it, that you're going to have salespeople who are going to say, "Oh yeah, but you know what? People are busy. They would prefer to get." Let's talk about it from the customer's perspective. Yeah. How do you handle that objection when a salesperson says, no, a customer would prefer to get an email or a text message versus any other form of communication?
In a lot of situations, they do. Mm-hmm. And that's the honest answer.
Yeah.
It's just like the phone versus email. There's a time and place for each strategy. And I can lay this out really easily for the salespeople out there. If you are providing information and that information provides or has little to do with emotion, or you're not trying to build trust or rapport, then bullet points on the screen. If you're like, hey, do this, this, and this, these are your next steps. A lot of times a text-based email that they can read and check off, yep, I did that, I did that, I did that. That's going to be better. That is the right tool for the right job. But if you have a brand new lead, or you're reaching out to someone that you haven't contacted in a while, or there's a positive or negative emotion involved, you know that you are better face-to-face. 100%. You can convey emotion better face-to-face. Those are the times that you want to use video to help convey that emotion, and maybe a little text to support that as well. And so there's a lot of situations throughout the salesperson's day-to-day that they're going to want to use text, but responding to a lead, that's not an opportunity to use text. Even if they just see your face and they hear you talk for a couple of seconds, people form an opinion about another person in 2 seconds or less, and that is your advantage.
You know what's really interesting about this is that when I think about how I might reach somebody either before I meet with them for the first time or after, there's a tremendous advantage to me either way. Because if I'm finding a creative way to reach out to them before I met them in the first place, I can sort of prove to them, hey, you know what? I'm a decent guy. I'm not an idiot over here. Maybe I'm worth talking to her for a few seconds. But then afterwards, the stout-out opportunities are really interesting. And we like to talk at Shore Consulting about this concept called emotional altitude. And we think about it, because I love your answer, the idea that if there's no emotion involved, if it's just relationship, trust, rapport, email or text is going to fine. But if there's emotion involved, it changes things. So that emotional altitude is going to constantly be varying if you're a customer. But if somebody just left your sales center, if you just left a presentation, their emotional altitude is really high. And the longer that we wait to reach them, the more that emotional altitude is going to drop off. And eventually, it's going to just be right back down to zero. So we've got to find a way to be able to keep that emotional altitude as strong as it can possibly be.
I love that. And even again, not going back to the first touch with a particular lead. But in today's day and age, people evaluate multiple systems, tools, products, et cetera. Whenever anyone buys anything, they just don't look at one option. They fill out multiple forms online. And so what the human brain is wired to do is I know you love the psychology of the sale, but human brain is wired to go with the known versus the unknown. Mm-hmm. The known is always the safer bet. And so if someone filled out multiple forms online and they get 3 responses from 3 different companies, and 2 are text-based emails, which you can't even tell who that person is, anything about that person. You can't tell if you like them or dislike them. You're just reading text on the screen. And 1 person responds with a video that provides a richer level of feedback than just by the way the human brain is wired. You have a leg up just by doing the video, even if you're not great on video.
Yeah, you know what's interesting too, Stephen. Tell me if you think I've got this figured out right. I'm not sure. I've not studied it, but I'm a business person, and people trying to sell me stuff all the time, right? And I get emails every single day from somebody or other who says, "Hey, we've got this great platform for how you can close more leads or get more business or do this or do that." And I'm finding that I'm pretty sure that these are robo emails, that they're all following the same pattern. They send an email, then they send another email. Hey, I'm just confused as to why you didn't reach out to my freezer. There's still a chance to be able to chat. And eventually they'll send an email. This is my life. It's all coming from a computer, I am pretty sure. And I think that that's escalating, which means that it devalues every other email I get, even if it is personally written by somebody. Am I on the right track?
Yeah, I get those emails every day as well. And then I know the cadence, and you described that cadence perfectly, because that last email is officially called the kiss off email.
Yeah.
Like, hey, and that's like the final one. All you need to do for anyone out there debating on using video for, and I want to make this clear too, there's 2 types of video. There's marketing through video and relationships through video. Marketing through video is the high produced pieces, the pieces that you would put on your website. Relationships through video are one-to-one videos for the purpose of building know, like, and trust, or rapport. And those one-to-one videos are just as powerful, as any marketing video that you can do. And one tip for everybody, to get back to the original point here, is have a whiteboard or a piece of paper and write the person's name down, or interesting fact or tidbit about them, their company. Just as I said, just a name would work too, just so they know that it's personalized. Hold that up in the beginning of your video before you send it out as an email. So when they get that in their inbox, they see, "Hey, Jeff," or, interesting fact about Jeff, right on a handwritten piece of paper or whiteboard. And that way, that dynamic that you just so eloquently described, that you're not a part of a drip campaign. This person took the time and effort, and that's the key. People will reciprocate more often than not if they know that you took the time and effort to reach out to them in a personal manner.
Tell us how BombBomb video email works, because again, to me, it's absolutely amazing. It's just stunning. I am a user of it. It is simple. It's intuitive, whether I'm using it off of my phone with an app, or whether I'm using off of my computer. Give our audience that are not familiar with BombBomb, give them a quick overview of how it works.
Sure. The goal of BombBomb is to help you get face-to-face at scale, to get you in front of more people more often so you can do more business. We do that through email, text, and social. And we do that in the places where you work the most, like Gmail. We just launched our brand new Outlook product. And so you don't have to learn a new system. You get an email, you hit reply with video, you record a video of you. Again, this is a simplistic video, more organic. There's a shiny authenticity inversion. The shinier that something is, the less authentic it feels. So it's okay to have a more raw video of you just standing in front of your computer from your webcam or your phone. And we focus on speed to video. How fast can you click a button, record a video, send it out, and get the all-important tracking and analytics and notifications to know when people are consuming your content? And we want to make sure that you can do that on all of your platforms, whether it's through an integration, through Gmail or Outlook, or on your Android or iPhone device, where we have a brand new app coming out that's in beta right now that people already have. That's really awesome. That allows you to reply with video right on your mobile phone. And it's a pretty great system. When I started using it in way back in 2012, it was totally different. It was still valuable then, but now we just made it so much easier and we fit it into your workflow.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very intuitive. There's no question about it. I can reply right out of my Gmail folder. Tell us about how it works, most importantly now, from the buyer's perspective or from the customer's perspective.
And so people always ask, can I just send a video on my own? And the answer is absolutely, you can. You can record a video and upload it to YouTube with your program of choice, and then take that YouTube screenshot and send it out, and you're linking them to YouTube, which then you lose control of the conversation. You removed yourself from your call to action, and now they're watching the funny cat or dog video. So, I mean, that's one option. But the better experience for the consumer taking in the email is something that's going to stream for them, depending on their connection speed, the device that they're on. And that's what BombBomb does. When the video appears in someone's inbox, it's actually playing. There's an animated preview or GIF. I guess it's pronounced GIF now. I don't know.
I can't keep up. I have no idea. Paul Murphy, you're the technical guy. Is it GIF or is it GIF?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on who you're talking to, but from my point of view, it's a GIF.
All right, fair enough.
All right, so we're going to go with GIF. So
right.
The GIF appears in the person's inbox, and what that does, we were talking about the whiteboard strategy for you or your sales team. That allows you to have some movement and animation in the beginning of the video, point to the whiteboard, and that's what catches someone's eye and their attention. And that's totally different than just a standard screenshot, of using something else to send out a video. But even more important than that, it's the feedback. It's engagement at scale. When that person clicks that play button, they watch the video that comes back, to the sender. And it's a good experience on the other end for of course, the viewer of the video, because it is streaming at the correct rate.
What's interesting about that is that when I look at it from the buyer's perspective, the fact that I got this at all is already astounding, right? I will, when I'm talking about video communication and personalized video email to salespeople, ask the question, when's the last time you got a personalized video email? And zero hands typically will go up. This to me should not be fresh, right? By now, this ought to be one of the most well-adopted technologies out there, and yet it's just not being taken advantage of. But I know, for me, our mutual friend Mike Lyon, I can tell you, on my birthday this year, I can tell you, I remember getting a card from my mother-in-law. I only remember that because there was a check for $100 in it, and I got a video email from Mike Lyon. I can't even remember what my wife bought me for my birthday. I just remember getting a video email from Mike Lyon. You type out a branding opportunity right there. It's just so memorable. It just stands out, and it stands out if for no other reason because nobody else does it, right?
Yeah, and Jeff, it's funny. I know you're a big advocate of role playing and simulating the real experience, and those are some of the things I get from you and some of the articles you post online. So think about what you just said right there. When you can't be there in person, video is the next best option. If Mike would have showed up at your door and sang a happy birthday, you would remember that for the rest of your life.
Sure.
Of course, that's not really time effective there for Mike to do so. And so what he did is he sent a video and he simulated that experience of showing up at your door. And now you got to use, again, it wasn't just, you weren't just reading something, you were hearing something, you were watching something, and all of your senses together is what forms concrete memories and feelings in your recipients. And so if you're looking to build that dynamic of know, like, and trust and memory and making you stand out, you need to engage their senses. That's what video does, and that's how we can simulate the real experience.
And I'll tell you, I love the concept of simulating an experience. It makes perfect sense. I think that there is a further concept there about extending the experience, extending the relational experience. So if I just had a conversation with you, but a couple of months ago, I bought a car, went to several dealerships. I got no follow-up at all. But I'm thinking back, there was one particular young man I was talking to. He was new to car sales, but he was a sharp guy. He was a good kid. I was rooting for him, And he had my card. He had my email address on it. And I'm thinking how powerful it would have been for him to just take 30 seconds to say, hey, thanks for stopping by. We hope we can help you. And I just want to say personally, thanks for the sales tips you gave me, which I did, by the way. It would have made all the difference in the world. It would have taken him 30 seconds. It would have cost him next to nothing. That's the idea, that the impact that we can have for a very, very nominal investment of time and a few dollars is just incredible. And I know that you have salespeople out there who absolutely rave about the effectiveness of the program.
Yeah, and speaking of car sales, we have a customer, Kenny Landrum from Bowling Green, and he's from Bowling Green Toyota, and he crushes it with video. I get birthday messages every year from Kenny. They're creative, they're innovative, and he attests that video equates for most of his business because he takes everyone that bought a car and sends them videos throughout the year, and they're funny and engaging and entertaining, and people come back to him again and again and again and again just because they like him.
I love it. Because for that, it's not just about getting this sale. It's about all the referral sales that he's going to get along the lines. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about why someone would not use video email. And I know that we hear that idea, I don't like the way I look on camera, which I've always found funny because that's just how you look. I mean, that's who you are. That's it. They already know. What is it that causes people not to want to explore not just this technology, but a whole lot of different technologies?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a few things there, right? It's the sound of your voice because you hear yourself differently, and then when you hear yourself on camera, it's the way that you look. You only see yourself from one perspective in a mirror. When you're on video, you can see slightly different, angles of yourself, and the lens, changes your appearance a bit depending on the lens that you use. And just like you said, you are the only one that cares. And if you can honestly say to yourself, if I was in front of that person, I always ask an audience that I'm speaking to, like, hey, if you had a hot new lead and you had the choice of communicating with them over email or the phone, what would you choose? Everyone chooses the phone. And then would you choose in person or the phone? Everyone chooses in person because it's a more complete form of communication. And that's what video is. If you are not afraid to meet them in person, then what's the difference with video?
Yeah.
And if you are meeting your contacts in person, they're going to find out what you look like anyway, eventually. So you might as well give them a heads up.
That's right.
Guess what? They don't care.
They don't care.
You do.
Yeah, what they care about is that they're dealing with a decent human being who cares about them, right? And that's the idea. And you mentioned this earlier, that the marketing video is the one that's high quality, slickly produced. The relationship video, the emotion-based video, I refer to it as being beautifully crude.
Yes.
Right? There is a beauty in the fact that your hand is shaking a little bit, and it's clear that you don't do this for a living. It makes you so relatable and so approachable because even if you are nervous, you still cared enough to do something that's outside of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. I have a quick story and an actionable tip, I think, for the audience. My wife, Gretchen, she didn't want to use video. And she does Rodan and Fields, so selling the Rodan and Fields skincare products. And she didn't want to use video. And I'm like, honey, that would be embarrassing if you didn't use video. You're married to the CMO of BombBomb. You need to use video. And so I pushed her into doing it. She recorded her first video for a Remax agent interested in buying some of the products. And she was recording the video, dropped all the products on the floor while the video was still recording. And I'm in the kitchen. I'm like, you keep recording. You keep going. And she popped up into the frame again, bright red face, and was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And when she finished recording, she's like, I'm not sending that. I reached over, clicked the send button for her. She was highly upset with me at the time. But then 15 minutes later, got a phone call from that person. They talked about, she started the call with how klutzy she was and how awesome Gretchen was for sending that video. They related on that level for 15 to 20 minutes. And then she was just like, I'll buy all the products because that trust and rapport was built. So the mistakes are your assets. Like, that shows you who you are, shows that you're a real person, and actually helps people like you even more. But that being said, if you do need a tip, and I know nervousness can come through and you don't want to be entirely nervous on video, there's one simple thing that you can do. And the simple thing is, before you hit the record button, think about something that makes you happy for 30 seconds. Because as long as you have a smile on your face and as long as you seem warm and engaging great book by Amy Cuddy, Presence. She talks about being warm in your, in your interactions and the importance of that. And so think about something that makes you happy and smile, and then immediately go right into your video after you do that 30-second exercise, and your videos will be 3 times better because that's all you need.
I love it. The product is called BombBomb. You can find it at BombBomb.com. That's the word bomb twice, no spaces, .com. Before we let you go, we always put our guests on the hot seat here, Steve. A few questions, just quick questions, quick answers. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Your very first job.
Let's see. Sneaker Den.
Love it.
I sold sneakers.
You love it. When you were 10, you thought you would be what?
A coal miner.
Seriously?
Yeah, I don't. For a long time, I wanted to be a coal miner. I don't even remember my reason why.
Were you raised in West Virginia?
No, I was raised right outside of Philadelphia. I have no idea. I can't explain it, and I'm embarrassed that I just told everybody that.
Most beautiful place you've ever stood?
Hawaii, in Kauai.
Yeah, can't argue there. Any book that you read any time in your life that made a profound impact on your life?
Oh man, that's a tough one because there are so many books. I mentioned Presence by Amy Cuddy.
Yeah,
that book is just fantastic. But anything by Robert Cialdini.
Yeah,
I love the psychology of the sale and persuasion.
Sure. Yeah,
persuasion. Yeah,
love it. A movie you've seen multiple times, but if it came on television, you'd watch it again today.
Any Lord of the Rings or Braveheart.
Love it. And your first celebrity crush.
Oh, first celebrity crush would be. Does this count? Like Kathy? I'm going really old school. Kathy Ireland.
It counts. It counts. You're off the hot seat. Steve Pacinelli, Chief Marketing Officer for BombBomb. Great conversation. Thanks for being on the Buyer's Mind.
Thank you for having me on.
All right, Murph. That was fun. That was fun. He's an interesting guy, right?
Well, and video is so close to my heart that I love having him on.
Yeah, and listen, as somebody, as I mentioned, we had no interest in having him on financially. It's just that we knew that we believe in BombBomb. We use it here at the organization, and it really is. Does it surprise you, Murph, that more people don't use this technology at this point?
It does surprise me because most people have the bandwidth to be able to get the video, and videos are getting smaller, and the compression sizes are great. So. Why not? We
really appreciated that Steve was so transparent with the idea of, hey, it's not for all types of communication. And they gave us permission to look at it and say, if you're not trying to build trust, email or text is going to work fine. But if there's a positive or a negative emotion involved, you probably want to look face to face. That passed the real life test to me. You?
Absolutely. Seeing somebody face to face and seeing their expression, their emotion is hugely important to knowing whether or not you want to actually continue to do business with somebody.
I love the idea that, and again, for those of you who are thinking about it, you just want to experiment with it a little bit. You could sort of practice just by sending a video email to yourself and see how it goes. But better yet, think of a good friend or a family member. Just surprise one of your own kids with a video email. They will be tickled pink, and it'll give you a little practice opportunity. But the idea here is that you're going to see right away that. The fact that that video is a little bit crude, that it's not slick, is actually beautiful. It makes it more impactful, as Steve was saying. We shouldn't be thinking about something that is overly scripted and overly produced. I think it's actually better when it's a little bit raw and it comes directly from you. So if you were inspired by the conversation, I want to encourage you, just try it. Just try it and just get a sense. Once you've done it a couple of times, and again, you won't really understand it until you hear from your recipient. But your recipient is going to go, okay, that was pretty cool. But I also want to just chat here about one other thing from this conversation, and it has to do with how we are extending the relational experience. Now, this is an important conversation for me personally because I'm in the process of writing a book on sales follow-up about what happens after the customer says no. And as we're thinking that through, as we're thinking about sales follow-up, what are we trying to do? Well, you could look at it and say, well, I'm trying to get a sale. Well, I'm trying to get it over the finish line. I'm trying to meet my quota. I'm trying not to get fired. I'm trying to make my boss happy. But I want to suggest to you that all of those reasons fail in comparison to the one dominant reason for follow-up, and that is to extend the relationship, to extend the relational experience. How do we do that? Because as soon as your customer leaves that presentation, as soon as they walk away, guess what happens? Life happens. Things get in the way. The other competitors get in the way. Their spouse, their significant other, their children get in the way. Their boss gets in the way. Traffic gets in the way. Bad news gets in the way. All of this stuff competes for mental space. So what happens? The value of the relationship you have with your prospect, in their mind, it starts to wane. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you didn't do anything at all, right? Everything else started to grab their attention. So there's a concept here that psychologists refer to as attentional spotlight. Attentional spotlight. What do we pay attention to? Well, video email is a phenomenal way to stay in the attentional spotlight without being obnoxious. It's only a few seconds long, but it shows you as your best self, and it keeps them connected. You heard Steve's story about the salesperson who sells cars in Bowling Green. What is he doing? It's not just he's following up with video email, but he's doing it consistently, and it's fun, and it's upbeat. So he stays in front of that customer. He continues that attentional spotlight. And I want to just challenge you right now to think about the people that you've been working with, even over the last week, who have not yet decided to purchase. How can you gain the attentional spotlight without being obnoxious? And I think that if you wanted to look at it from that perspective, video email might be a great way to go. All right. I'm going to just make one other suggestion here to you. I am going to suggest that if you will send me a video email, I will send you an autographed copy of any of the books. I've got 8 books now. I'll send you an autographed copy of whatever book you want. All you have to do is send me a video email to ask at jeffshore.com. That's also the email where you can ask questions of us that we respond to on the program. Ask at jeffshore.com. Send us that video email to that address to make that request, and I'll send you an autographed copy of the book. I'll do that for the first 10 people who respond. So there you go. A little challenge out there, a little reward for you as well to try and grab that attentional spotlight to extend the relationship. And you just watch. Hopefully you'll enjoy the book, but what you'll enjoy so much more is when you're connecting with your customer on a deeper level than anybody else is willing to. All right, there you go. You've got your work cut out for you, but it's a beautiful work. Sales always is. When we understand our customers, we understand how to serve them best. That's when we get the opportunity to change their world. We'll talk to you next time.